to be part of the slave's diet so that they would work harder. Alcohol was required to be part of the slave's diet. In one narrative, a Christian missionary said this. He said, immense quantities, they call liquor ardent spirits. Immense quantities of ardent spirits are sold in the southern states to the Negroes by retailing shops established for the express purpose of Negro training. That sound familiar? That retail shops would be set up in the South with one purpose: to sell liquor to the slaves. To sell liquor to the slaves. All right? That's what the missionary pointed out. Now the Muslims are checking all this out. The Muslim slaves are checking eating pork, and they're checking out the alcohol. The Muslims weren't with it. Even one particular Muslim who was broken down, kind of like, and he ate the pork, because remember, the slaves were underfed. They were underfed and overworked. So this one particular slave, he ate the pork, but he would say, but I haven't had no liquor though. I ain't had no liquor though. That type of thing. But even back during this is 1847. They are selling liquor to the slaves. And that's the main purpose, to make sure they got liquor. The Muslims are checking this out. The Muslims, particularly in the Caribbean, and in America too, but particularly in the Caribbean, they ain't down with the pork, and they definitely ain't down with the liquor. The Free Mandingo Society of Jamaica, the Free Mandingo Society of Jamaica, sent a letter to the King of England. The King of England asked how they were able to be successful. How are y'all able to be so successful? He said, because the other slaves spend their money on liquor. And we don't spend our money on liquor. We save our money. And the things that the Free Mandingo Society did in Jamaica is serious business. And inshallah, we'll get into that in a minute. But the Muslims would not eat pork, brothers and sisters. The Muslims would not drink liquor. And slaveholders, it's in the narratives of slaveholders who were interviewing or interrogating other slaves, like Ayub bin Suleiman. When they caught him, they put him in jail. When they brought him out of jail, they offered him some wine. No, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. So dress, Islamic. Names, we fight to keep our Islamic names. Pork and alcohol, no pork and alcohol. No pork and alcohol. The slaveholders are checking all this out. And while they're doing this now, they're forming their own communities now. They're forming their own communities. Their own. Even in their slave condition. Even while in slavery, they try their best to form their own communities. Here's what one West Indies governor said, Caribbean: this people cannot see any longer how to feed the slaves. For bacon is their aversion, and they eat it only through force. This is in the West Indies. The only time they eat this bacon is when we force it. Other than that, they ain't eating it. West Indies governor. Here's what they said about Job bin Solomon. With respect to fish, he has no scruple about fish, but won't touch a bit of pork, it being expressly forbidden by their law. On one plantation in Georgia, the Georgia Sea Islands, the Balalis, his name was Salih Bilali. The entire Muslim population would not touch it. They would go, if there was no pork, they wouldn't eat meat. I mean, if it was only pork, they wouldn't eat meat. And it has the narrative saying that they would go year-round without touching meat. This is in the Georgia Sea Islands. Salih Bilali and his community, they would not touch it. They would go year without touching meat because it was pork. Right? They fought it. Brothers and sisters, other things that came over.